What's up everybody, this is James here with VVco. Today we're going to be taking a look at our new sonically unique and totally customizable Dark Father preamp. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss this. Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at our brand new overdrive EQ boost fuzz preamp. This is it right here. This is the Dark Father. This is probably one of our coolest looking pedals ever. It's got lights and things you can customize everywhere. Well, I'm not quite sure where it gets its inspiration from, but... What are you doing? Sorry, bro, I had the munchies real bad. Not in here. You'll make a mess. There's stuff everywhere. Oh, now look what you made me do. Oh, get out of here. So with the Dark Father, we set out not to try to copy other pedals and do our own versions of them, but actually do something really unique, and I think we managed that here. So I'm going to set it down here so we can plug it in and check it out. All right, get that plugged in. All right, let's fire it up. All right, so let's talk about the buttons and what they do, because there's a lot going on here. In fact, it comes with a nice instruction card here. All right, first and foremost, to use this pedal, you're going to have to engage one of the three main sounds here. We've got pre, light, and dark, but I'm going to go ahead and use preamp for this example, but you could use light or dark just as well. It's just a little different variation on the flavor of the sound. Once you fire this up, you can turn on the EQ. You've got a 3-band EQ here. It's actually pretty extreme, so you can tweak this a lot. And then force, if you engage that, it's just going to give you a little bit more of a decibel boost. You can also fire up the lo-fi fuzz. This is really cool, especially when you play with the EQ on it, and we'll show you some sounds you can get with that later when I dive into the demo. But next, we've also got on here, we've got a couple boosts. This one is my favorite. This is the Silicon Clean Boost. It's just a preference, but it's definitely one that I like. So we're going to spend some time on that. In fact, you heard me using that on the intro. The Dark Boost here, this is a germanium hybrid boost. It gives you a little bit of dirt. And you can kind of combine stuff here to do some funky stuff. It's really meant to do one at a time, but you can fire up different combinations and kind of push things into each other and get some pretty wacky stuff. We've got a master volume here. What I think works best, and everyone can do this differently, is to use the slider more if you just need to cut something back a little bit. Because on the back, we have a gain, and then we also have a boost. That boost on the back is going to be your main way of driving the signal harder into the front end of your amp. You hear the term clean boost a lot. Basically all that is if your amp doesn't have gain on it or you want to use the clean channel, you're just driving more volume into the front end of your amp to get it to break up a little bit. So the boost is what's really going to control that. This slider right here is going to blend your dry signal. So if you're using the fuzz, this might be a good way to blend your clean sound with some fuzz at the same time to give a little more definition. Or if you're just using this as a preamp, which I'm going to go over kind of extensively here in a second, this is a great way to balance the preamp tone with your original tone. Alright, so now that we've gone over the features, I'm going to go ahead and grab a guitar and we are going to cover how to dial in the sounds and let you hear what they sound like. Alright, so we got the guitar here. So I'm just going to be using a basic Strat. Keep it simple so we can really show the pedal and not the gear. And to make sure that I keep things nice and simple, I'm actually just going into just a Blues Junior, Fender 112 amp. I've got the gain down so it's a clean sound. And I've got the EQ set straight up flat on everything. So like I said, just keeping it simple. We're trying to show the pedal, not a bunch of other gear. One of my favorite things on here is the light sound. This is a Silicon Boost. I like to leave this on all the time and pretty much just think of it as an extension of my amp. Alright, so I've got the light Silicon, the EQ on, just a little bit of a mid cut. And I've got the gain back here set just on the edge of if I'm hitting it hard, I get a little bit of breakups. So let's see what it sounds like. Just a nice little bite to it, and you can feed other pedals into the sound. Just leave this on, think of it as an extension of your amp. This is one of the Dark Father's most straightforward features. Now you can do the same thing with the Dark. This is germanium. It just breaks up a little bit differently. Now let's take a look at using just the preamp. I know this sounds a little confusing since we're kind of swapping boost and preamp interchangeably, but they are interchangeable. It's just a way to take your regular guitar sound and just drive your amp a little bit harder, or add some characteristics to your amp. So the preamp isn't going to have that bite or that breakup that the germanium or silicon circuits have. So it is going to give you access to the EQ. It's going to give you access to the boost. It's going to give you access to the gain. And right now I've got the gain up just a little bit. So here's my regular sound. Driving a little with the preamp and the EQ. Alright, so let's talk about the force. This is going to drive a few more decibels into the preamp coming from your guitar. So it's going to break up just a little bit more. Getting some pretty good breakup while keeping the sound of your guitar. I'm playing a Strat, so you can definitely hear that Stratty kind of sound with a little bit of the Strat bite. Alright, now let's take a look at the fuzz. This is pretty cool. Fire up the preamp, turn the lo-fi on. Definitely want to engage the EQ. The lo-fi is the fuzz, by the way. You can hear it's that real kind of old school 60s clippy fuzz. Good for stuff like this. Okay, I played that, I'm sorry. But still, it sounds pretty cool. It would be crazy not to try to get a little bit of the satisfaction sound out of this thing. So I've got the mid up, got the treble down. Like I said, the EQ is really responsive on here. So here's what we're looking at. There it is. There's that buzz box sound. Oh yeah, and it's definitely got a cool lead sound. Like when you move around on the notes, you can start to hear that octave kick in a little bit. Right, so there's some, just a sampling some of the wild sounds that the fuzz can get for you. So one thing to definitely keep in mind is if you're using this like a preamp, it means you're going to want to put pedals in front of it too, because if it's an extension of your amp, you're going to plug pedals into your amp. So if you got other pedals hanging around, you know, distortions, fuzzes, all that sort of stuff, it especially likes the pickle fuzz. Who doesn't?